The deep space research vessel Horizon drifted silently through the Carina Nebula's outer rim, its sophisticated sensors probing the cosmic dust for signs of element 815, a theoretical stable isotope that could revolutionize faster-than-light travel. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood at the ship's observation deck, her dark eyes fixed on the swirling purple clouds outside, when the first anomaly appeared. "Doctor, we're detecting unusual gravitational fluctuations," announced Lieutenant James Chen from his station. "The patterns don't match any known natural phenomena in our database." Elena moved swiftly to the main console, her fingers dancing across the holographic interface. The readings defied conventional physics. Space itself seemed to be folding in impossible ways. Before she could voice her analysis, the ship's AI cut through the tension with an urgent alert. "Multiple objects emerging from subspace. Configuration unknown. Energy signatures exceed anything in historical records." The nebula's gases parted like a curtain as they emerged, vast biological ships that seemed to pulse with internal light. Their organic hulls rippled with patterns that hurt the eyes to look at, a sign of higher dimensional engineering that humanity had only theorized about. "This is Dr. Elena Rodriguez of the Earth research vessel Horizon. We come in peace and seek peaceful dialogue." Her voice remained steady despite the gravity of the situation. The response came not as words, but as a psychic assault that crashed against the crew's minds like a tsunami. "ERRELEVA and BENGs. Subigamite to AB Zor Pijayan." The Horizon's crew of scientists and researchers reeled from the mental attack, but Elena's mind, trained through years of working with experimental quantum fields, adapted fastest. "All hands, initiate Protocol Aurora," she commanded, activating systems that no one had expected to use on a research mission. The Horizon had been built with humanity's signature paranoid preparation. Beneath its civilian exterior lay military-grade quantum shields and experimental weapons developed in secret. As the alien vessels launched their first attack, beams of coherent probability that could unravel matter at the quantum level, the ship's hidden defenses sprang to life. "Quantum shields holding at 82%, reported Chen, his training from the Earth Defense Force showing through his researcher facade. "But they're learning, adapting to our defensive patterns with each attack." Elena watched as the alien ships moved with impossible grace, their biological hulls reshaping themselves to generate more efficient weapon configurations. The Swarm, as they would later be known, fought not just with advanced technology, but with the accumulated knowledge of thousands of absorbed civilizations. "They expect us to follow conventional combat algorithms," Elena realized, her scientific mind racing ahead. "Lieutenant, transfer shield control to my station. I have an idea." Rather than trying to block the Swarm's attacks directly, Elena began programming quantum probability fluctuations into the shield harmonics. Each time the Swarm adapted to their defense patterns, she introduced random variables that even she couldn't predict. It was scientific heresy, deliberately introducing chaos into their own systems. The Swarm's attacks began to miss, their perfectly calculated strikes thrown off by shields that refused to behave according to any logical pattern. Elena had turned the Horizon's defensive systems into a quantum uncertainty field that even the Swarm's vast collective intelligence couldn't predict. "We need to withdraw," Chen advised. "Transmit our findings to Earth Command." "Agreed, but first." Elena's fingers flew across her console. "Let's give them something to remember us by." The Horizon's main research apparatus, designed to probe stable isotopes, reconfigured under her commands. The device that had been built to study quantum states now fired a beam of pure probability chaos into the nearest Swarm vessel. Where it struck, ordered matter collapsed into quantum uncertainty. The alien ship's biological hull, dependent on precise molecular bonds, began to break down. As the Horizon prepared its emergency FTL jump, Elena watched the Swarm vessels recoil from their damaged companion. For the first time in their collective memory, they had encountered a species that could hurt them. Humanity's first contact had become humanity's first conflict, But they had proven something crucial. The swarm wasn't invincible. "Jump complete," Chen reported as the horizon emerged in safe space. "But they'll follow. They'll adapt." Elena nodded, already composing her report to Earth Command. "Yes, they will. But so will we. That's what they don't understand about humans. We thrive on challenges that should break us." She allowed herself a grim smile. "They wanted to absorb our knowledge. Let's show them why that might be more than they can handle." The horizon raced toward Earth, carrying warning of the storm to come. Humanity's age of peaceful exploration had ended, but they had shown that even a research vessel could bear unexpected teeth. The swarm would return, stronger and adapted, but they would find humanity ready. The species that had clawed its way up from caves to the stars wouldn't submit to absorption. They would innovate, adapt, and overcome. It was what humans did best. 3 months after the Horizon incident, the gleaming laboratories of the Earth Defense Force's Advanced Research Division hummed with activity. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood before the Global Defense Council, her holographic presentation showing the devastating results of humanity's early encounters with the Swarm Collective. "Their hive mind gives them perfect coordination," she explained, gesturing to footage of swarm ships moving with impossible synchronization. "Every engagement teaches them. Every loss makes them stronger. Traditional military doctrine is failing because we're fighting as individuals against a unified consciousness." Admiral Sarah Chen, recently promoted after the loss of 3 battle groups to swarm attacks, leaned forward. "Then we need to change how we fight. You have a proposal, Doctor?" Elena nodded, bringing up new schematics. "The Neural Initiative. Instead of trying to match their hive mind, we leverage what makes us different. Our individuality isn't a weakness. It's an asset they can't comprehend." The laboratory beneath them housed the prototype. A quantum neural network that connected human pilots while preserving their individual consciousness. Unlike the swarm's forced uniformity, this system amplified creativity through controlled chaos. "The swarm's perfect coordination is predictable," Elena continued. "They can't understand randomness because it contradicts their nature. We'll use that against them." Within weeks, the first neural squadron took flight. 12 pilots, their minds linked but distinct, each bringing their unique perspective to a shared battle consciousness. Elena watched from the command center as they engaged a swarm patrol that had ventured too close to Alpha Centauri. The neural squadron moved like a jazz ensemble rather than an orchestra, each pilot improvising within a loose framework of coordination. Where the swarm expected perfect formation, they found controlled chaos. When they adapted to one pilot's strategy, another would introduce an entirely different approach. Lieutenant Maya Patel, leading the squadron, felt the rush of 11 other consciousness brushing against her own. Unlike the swarm's overwhelming uniformity, this was a dance of perspectives. Her aggressive attacks flowed seamlessly into Captain David O'Neill's defensive maneuvers, while Dr. Sarah Wong's scientific insights helped them predict swarm adaptations. The swarm ships, massive organic constructs that dwarfed human vessels, found themselves unable to establish targeting solutions. Their collective intelligence, evolved to counter logical strategies, couldn't process the creative randomness of human minds working in collaborative chaos. "Pattern disruption at 89%, Elena reported, watching the battle telemetry. "The swarm's trying to adapt, but they can't predict what they can't understand." The neural squadron ships, specially designed to channel their pilots' combined creativity, executed maneuvers that should have been impossible. They didn't just avoid swarm attacks, they turned them against each other, using the aliens' perfect coordination as a weapon. Maya felt a surge of inspiration from the squadron's collective consciousness. "They expect us to retreat," she communicated through the neural link. "Let's show them something new." The squadron split into seemingly random formations, their movements appearing chaotic to outside observers. But through their shared neural connection, each pilot understood their role in Maya's improvised plan. They were creating a 3-dimensional web of crossing flight paths, forcing the swarm to divide their attention. When the trap closed, it was devastating. The swarm ships, attempting to track multiple threats simultaneously, found themselves caught in a crossfire of quantum disruption beams. Their biological hulls, unable to adapt to attacks coming from seemingly impossible angles, began to break down. Multiple swarm signatures destabilizing. Elena announced, her voice tight with controlled excitement. They're attempting to retreat. The surviving swarm vessels flowed into subspace, leaving behind 3 of their own, the first significant victory humanity had achieved against them. But Elena's celebration was tempered by knowledge of what would come next. They'll analyze this defeat, she warned the Council. Try to understand how we beat them. But that's what makes this strategy effective. The more they try to understand human unpredictability, the more it confounds them. Admiral Chen nodded, studying the battle data. How soon can we expand the neural initiative? We've already begun selecting candidates, but this is just the first step. The swarm fights by absorbing and adapting. We'll fight by innovating and surprising. It's time to show them why human creativity is more powerful than collective uniformity. As Elena left the council chamber, her mind was already racing with new ideas. The neural initiative had proven that humanity's greatest strength lay not in trying to match the swarm's advantages, but in amplifying what made humans unique. The war was far from over, but they had found their path to victory, one that celebrated rather than suppressed human individuality. In her lab, screens showed the next generation of neural interfaces being prepared. Each one would connect another group of unique minds, creating more symphonies of controlled chaos that the swarm couldn't predict. Humanity wouldn't just survive this war, they would redefine how it was fought. The command center of EDF Strike Carrier Prometheus buzzed with controlled tension as Admiral Chen studied the holographic display of swarm-controlled space. 8 months of defensive victories had given humanity breathing room, but everyone knew the swarm was adapting, learning, evolving. It was time to strike back. Operation Prometheus is a go, Chen announced to the assembled fleet commanders, both physical and holographic. Dr. Rodriguez explained the science behind our offensive. Elena stepped forward, her neural interface glinting at her temple. The swarm's greatest strength is their unified consciousness, but it's also their greatest vulnerability. They think as one, act as one, and most importantly, they gather as one. The hologram shifted to show the massive stellar phenomenon they designated as Node 7, a cosmic storm where thousands of swarm ships congregated periodically to share accumulated knowledge. It was both a strategic hub and a critical weakness. They're drawn to complexity, Elena continued. Their entire existence revolves around absorbing and understanding new patterns. We're going to give them exactly what they want, but on our terms. The plan was audacious. The Prometheus carried not just weapons, but a revolutionary device that Elena's team had developed, the Chaos Engine. It would turn the swarm's desire to understand against them. Lieutenant Maya Patel, now commander of 3 neural squadrons, felt her pilot's anticipation through their shared connection. Once we initiate the sequence, there's no turning back, she reminded them. Every pilot needs to embrace the chaos. The fleet moved into position, using the cosmic storm's interference to mask their approach. The swarm vessels, thousands of them swirling around Node 7 in their strange communion, remained focused on their knowledge-sharing ritual. Neural squadrons, you have the lead, Admiral Chen ordered. Show them something they've never seen before. Maya's squadrons launched, their movements already confounding standard tactical analysis. Each pilot channeled a different aspect of chaos theory through their neural links. Some focused on turbulence patterns, others on quantum uncertainty principles, creating a symphony of unpredictability that even their own tactical computers struggled to track. The swarm responded exactly as predicted, their vast collective consciousness turning to analyze this new threat. More ships emerged from subspace, drawn by the complexity of the human attack patterns. They're gathering, Elena reported, monitoring the Chaos Engine's readings. collective consciousness at peak synchronization. Just like they did with the Horizon's quantum shields, they can't resist trying to understand. Admiral Chen gave the order, activate the Chaos Engine. The device powered up, drawing energy from the cosmic storm itself. But instead of attacking the swarm ships directly, it began broadcasting mathematical concepts, beautiful, complex patterns that grew increasingly chaotic. It was intellectual catnip to the swarm's consciousness. The alien ships moved closer, their organic hulls rippling with increased neural activity as they attempted to process and absorb these new patterns. But the Chaos Engine's output wasn't just random noise. It was designed to create a cascade effect in any system that tried to understand it fully. Neural activity in the Swarm Collective is spiking, Elena announced. They're committed to the analysis. All ships. Execute Phase 2. The human fleet sprang its trap. As the swarm's consciousness focused on understanding the Chaos Engine's patterns, Maya's squadrons struck from multiple vectors, their unpredictable attacks amplified by the aliens' divided attention. But the true devastation came from within. As the swarm tried to distribute their analysis of the Chaos Engine's patterns through their network, the mathematical cascade began. Each ship that received the data experienced computational feedback loops, their unified consciousness fracturing under the strain of trying to process fundamentally unresolvable patterns. Swarm ships are losing cohesion, Maya reported, watching through her neural link as the enemy fleet began to break apart. Their collective consciousness is destabilizing. The massive alien vessels, their biological hulls trembling with confusion, began to drift apart. Some attempted to flee into subspace, while others simply shut down, their organic computers overwhelmed by the cascading chaos. Remarkable, Elena breathed, watching the sensors. They're not just retreating. They're actively avoiding sharing consciousness with each other. The Chaos Engine has introduced doubt into their collective mind. Admiral Chen allowed herself a small smile. A hive mind that can't trust its own thoughts isn't much of a hive mind at all. Status of Node 7. Completely destabilized, Elena confirmed. The swarm won't be using this as a gathering point again. More importantly, the survivors will carry the seeds of chaos with them. Every time they try to share knowledge, our mathematical virus will reactivate. The human fleet regrouped around the Prometheus, their first major offensive a stunning success. But Elena's expression remained thoughtful as she studied the battle data. We've hurt them, she said, but we've also forced them to evolve. The next time we meet, they won't be the same enemy. They'll have found ways to operate without total unity. Admiral Chen nodded. Then we'll need to evolve too. Humanity's greatest strength isn't just our unpredictability. It's our ability to change our approach when the old ways stop working. As the fleet prepared to return to Earth, the cosmic storm of Node 7 began to clear, revealing the scattered remnants of the swarm's gathering place. They had struck a decisive blow, but all of them knew this was just the beginning. The real question wasn't whether the swarm would return, but what they would become when they did. The bridge of the Prometheus fell silent as the alien ship emerged from the quantum wake. Unlike the organic horror of swarm vessels, this craft shimmered like liquid mercury, its surface rippling with complex geometric patterns. Elena's neural interface tingled as it detected previously unknown energy signatures. They're broadcasting, Communications Officer Zhang announced. It's mathematics. Pure mathematics. Elena stepped forward, her mind already processing the elegant equations flowing across her display. It's not just math, it's a proof of consciousness. They're trying to demonstrate that they think independently of the swarm. The alien vessel's transmission shifted, incorporating fragments of human communication protocols with remarkable speed. A holographic figure materialized on the bridge, humanoid in basic shape, but composed of flowing metallic surfaces that constantly rearranged themselves. We are the Meridian, it announced in perfectly synthesized English. We have watched your resistance against the collective. You fight in ways we thought impossible. Admiral Chen stepped forward. I am Admiral Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Force. You've been watching us. For 3 standard cycles, the Meridian confirmed. Since your research vessel first demonstrated quantum uncertainty shields, we had to be certain you weren't another swarm deception. The being's surface swirled with new patterns as it continued. We were like you once, independent, creative, alive. Then the swarm came. Most of our people chose absorption, believing resistance futile. Those of us who refused fled to the quantum depths, where the swarm's consciousness cannot reach. Elena's scientific curiosity burned. The Meridian's technology seemed to operate on principles that made her quantum physics training seem primitive. But you've survived, evolved. Your ship's architecture, it's beyond anything we've seen. Necessity drove our evolution. The Meridian agreed. We learned to exist in quantum superposition, making ourselves impossible for the swarm to predict or perceive. But we could never strike back effectively, until we saw you. Admiral Chen's tactical mind was already racing with possibilities. Your technology, combined with our chaos strategies. Precisely. The Meridian's form shifted again, displaying tactical data. We offer an alliance. Our quantum engineering merged with your unpredictability could change the nature of this war. But more importantly, your resistance has given us something we lost long ago. Hope. Over the next weeks, the Prometheus became a laboratory for human-Meridian collaboration. Elena worked closely with the Meridian scientists, whose liquid metal forms could interface directly with their technology. The combination of Meridian quantum engineering and human chaos theory produced innovations that would have seemed like magic months ago. Maya's neural squadron pilots trained with Meridian consciousness tech, learning to shift their perceptions into quantum states that made them nearly impossible to target. The Meridians, in turn, learned to incorporate controlled chaos into their perfectly ordered systems. Your species continues to fascinate us. The Meridian chief engineer, who had taken the name Atlas, commented to Elena as they worked. Its liquid metal form rippled with what she had learned to recognize as excitement. You embrace disorder in ways we never imagined possible. It should make you weak, yet it makes you strong. Elena smiled, watching human and Meridian ships running joint maneuvers outside the viewport. That's humanity in a nutshell. We're at our best when things seem impossible. The alliance was tested sooner than expected. A massive swarm fleet, larger than any previously encountered, emerged from subspace near Saturn. But these weren't the same swarm ships they'd fought before. The organic vessels had been modified, their hulls incorporating crystalline structures that seemed designed to resist chaos effects. They've adapted to the chaos engine, Elena reported, studying the sensor data. But they still can't detect the Meridian ships in quantum state. Admiral Chen nodded grimly. Then we give them a new kind of chaos. Maya, deploy the neural squadrons with Meridian support. Show them what our combined creativity can do. The battle that followed would be studied in military academies for generations. Human ships, their quantum shields enhanced by Meridian tech, phased in and out of normal space. Meridian vessels, traditionally bound by perfect order, executed maneuvers of controlled chaos that confounded swarm targeting systems. When the swarm attempted to adapt to one strategy, they encountered another. Every prediction their collective consciousness made was wrong, because their opponents refused to follow logical patterns. The few times they managed to land a hit, the damaged ships would shift into quantum superposition, reappearing repaired moments later. They're retreating, Maya announced hours later, her neural link humming with the combined exhilaration of human and Meridian pilots. Long-range sensors show their fleet breaking up into smaller groups. Atlas's liquid metal form pulsed with something like satisfaction. They cannot maintain large fleet actions anymore. The risk of chaos contamination is too high. You've changed the fundamental nature of space warfare. Admiral Chen studied the tactical display, where the last swarm ships were vanishing into subspace. We've won a major victory, but this isn't over. They'll find new ways to fight. Let them, Elena said firmly. Every adaptation forces them further from their unified consciousness. Every change makes them more like us, individual, unpredictable, free. The Meridian Commander's form shifted in what had become their equivalent of a nod. Perhaps that is the ultimate victory, not destroying the swarm, but forcing them to evolve beyond their own limitations. As the combined fleet regrouped, Alina watched human and Meridian crews working seamlessly together. They had found more than allies. They had discovered a way to turn the swarm's greatest weapon, evolution through absorption, into a path toward their own transformation. The combined human-Meridian fleet hung in the darkness near the galactic core, where space itself twisted under the influence of countless gravitational forces. On the Prometheus's bridge, Alina studied readings that defied conventional physics. The swarm had changed. They're not just adapting anymore, she explained to the assembled command staff, her neural interface projecting complex data patterns. They're transforming into something entirely new. The tactical display showed the remnants of the once unified swarm, now split into distinct groups that operated independently. Their ships had evolved beyond their original organic forms, incorporating aspects of both human chaos technology and Meridian quantum engineering. Atlas, the Meridian engineer, flowed across the display, its liquid metal form analyzing the data. They fractured their collective consciousness. Each group now thinks independently, but can still share information when they choose. They're becoming individuals. Admiral Chen frowned. Is that victory or defeat? We wanted to stop them from absorbing civilizations, but we forced them to evolve instead. Neither, Alina replied. It's opportunity. Maya, show them what your squadron discovered. Commander Maya Patel's neural link activated, projecting her squadron's reconnaissance data. At the heart of swarm space, a massive structure was taking shape. Part organic, part quantum engineering, part pure mathematics made real. They're building a bridge, Maya explained. Not through space, but through consciousness itself. They're trying to reach something. Alina nodded. The swarm's original consciousness. We assumed they were just a collective of absorbed species, but there's something deeper. An intelligence so alien that it needed to absorb others just to comprehend our reality. And now it's changing too. The command staff watched as new data poured in. The swarm groups weren't gathering for war. They were working on the consciousness bridge, each adding their own unique perspective to its construction. The chaos and quantum mechanics they'd absorbed from their battles with humanity and the Meridians had given them new ways to approach their ancient goal. They want to talk, Alina realized. Not to absorb, not to conquer, but to genuinely communicate. They've learned that there's strength in difference, in the space between thoughts. Admiral Chen studied the tactical projections. It could be a trap, the ultimate adaptation. It's not. Atlas interjected, its form rippling with complex equations. We Meridians understand quantum consciousness intimately. They're reaching for something transcendent, and they want us to be part of it. The decision was made. The combined fleet approached the consciousness bridge, while Alina and a team of human and Meridian scientists prepared for contact. The massive structure pulsed with energies that existed in multiple dimensions, its very presence challenging their understanding of reality. Through their neural interfaces, the human crew felt the first touch of the ancient consciousness, not as the overwhelming force the swarm once projected, but as an invitation. The Meridian's liquid metal forms resonated with harmonics that transcended normal spacetime. It's beautiful, Maya whispered, her neural link sharing the experience with her squadron. It's like every possibility existing at once, but each one distinct and precious. The consciousness bridge activated fully, creating a space where human intuition, Meridian quantum perception, and swarm unity could exist simultaneously. In that moment of connection, understanding flowed between all three species. The swarm had been seeking comprehension of a universe too complex for any single form of consciousness to grasp. Their absorption of other species had been a desperate attempt to gather enough perspectives to see the whole picture. But in fighting humanity, in encountering the Meridians, they had discovered a greater truth, the power of collaborative diversity. Through the bridge, Alina had experienced fragments of countless civilizations, each adding their unique voice to a symphony of consciousness. The swarm wasn't destroying these perspectives anymore, but preserving them, learning from their differences rather than erasing them. This is what evolution really means, she realized, her thoughts echoing through the quantum link. Not the survival of the strongest, but the emergence of the most creative, the most adaptable. The bridge became a permanent installation, not a weapon or a tool of conquest, but a place of exchange. Humanity brought their chaos and creativity, the Meridians their quantum mastery, and the transformed swarm their ability to connect disparate forms of consciousness. Years later, Alina stood on the Prometheus's observation deck, watching ships from dozens of species coming and going from the consciousness bridge. The swarm's original mission of understanding the universe continued, but now as a collaborative effort that celebrated diversity rather than erasing it. "We never expected this outcome," Atlas commented, its liquid metal form reflecting the starlight. "When we first fled the swarm, we thought the only possible victory was survival." "That's the thing about humanity," Alina smiled. "We don't just survive, we change the rules of the game. We turned our greatest enemy into our most complex ally, not through force, but by showing them a better way to achieve their goals." The neural interface at her temple hummed with the background consciousness of countless species, each maintaining their individuality while sharing in a greater understanding. Humanity had not only survived their first major galactic crisis, they had transformed it into an opportunity for growth that would reshape the future of all intelligent life. In the space around them, new ships emerged from quantum space, their designs incorporating aspects of all three founding species: human chaos, Meridian quantum engineering, and swarm adaptability. They were the products of a collaboration that would have seemed impossible months ago, proof that the greatest victories come not from destroying your enemy, but from finding ways to turn conflict into cooperation.